Welcome back, OpTic Hitch. I am your host, Big OpTic Hecz here. This episode is brought to you by ExpressVPN and Mack Weldon. I'll tell you a little bit more about them as the show progresses and continues. But we haven't done a podcast since the original podcast that we made close to over. We haven't.
That's not true.
We haven't. Oh, we did the Flycast.
Well, we've done one.
We have done one.
We just didn't release it.
We just didn't release it.
Because you went all crazy.
Because I went all crazy. We were drinking and shit, and I went all crazy. And at that time, what the reality is today wasn't the reality.
Right, yeah.
And I'm glad, think about that.
I'm very glad that podcast didn't go
We wouldn't
up.
be where we're at right now if that podcast would have gone
That's
out.
true.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
I would have, whatever.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
All
The
right.
fact is that OpTic is mine.
Yep.
100%. I can go put that shit on toilets from here on out, and that's what it is. You know why? Because we're the shit.
The OpTic toilet.
The OpTic toilet. I don't have really a timeline as to how everything happened necessarily. I did record a lot during this last year. I recorded myself doing sort of confessionals as to how everything was going on, what was going on, the different sort of scenarios. I don't think I name any people because I just wanted to make sure that the documentary, if it ever is made by you,
Right.
is, it's clean of things, right? Because now that I have it back, I literally have no animosity towards anyone, including OpTic J.
Yeah.
I don't want to reach out. That's not, that's not where we're at right now, right? But I don't hate anyone. I don't, I wiped
Right.
the slate clean in a sense. I cleansed myself. I was a reborn. What do you call him? A reborn optic?
Yeah, I guess.
Optician?
I guess.
It's like Christian, but optician.
A reborn optician? I don't think
No,
that's
right?
it.
No, but I tried. You were obviously front row and center, as I said in my vlog, through a lot of the conversations that it happened, it almost happened, and it almost didn't happen.
Right.
How many times, if you were to put it into perspective for them, how many times did it almost happen?
I mean, probably five? I mean, if you think before the Immortals things,
Yeah.
during the Immortals thing,
Yes.
afterwards,
Yep.
then it got nixed, then it got picked back up, then you had it, but you didn't know if you could use it, and then you had it and you could use it. So it's it's all over. I mean,
It was all over the place.
People don't know any of that, really.
No.
So there's a lot.
Do you have any questions? Because, I mean, you although you were front row and center,
I mean, shit, I got questions.
Yeah.
I don't know
No,
if you got the answers to them.
It was one of those scenarios in which, originally 6 months into the infinite transaction and me going through the thing that I went through with them.
Right.
I said I want full autonomy of OpTic. What would it take? Can I give this back in
Right.
exchange for me to get that back? And that didn't work. At one point where everything was going sideways and shit, where there was the layoffs and all that, I went to the ownership group and I said, hey, I have a group ready to go. Would you guys, sell it to me? I'll give you guys a ride along. A ride along, for those who don't understand, is a free trip. So I would give them equity for them to just, as part. Not only am I gonna buy this thing off of you, but I'm also gonna leave you with some ownership in this thing, so you can, come with me as I take you to Billionville or whatever. And they considered it, so that was super cool. But it never came to fruition. We waited a couple of months, and then all of a sudden I hear that that it's up for grabs. It's being sold, and they hired people to sell this thing. And immediately I go find a group, and I'm like, hey, I need to buy this thing. And they were like, okay, we have your back. Absolutely, let's do it. So we put in an offer, and then we put in a separate offer. I put in three different offers when the Immortals thing was going on.
Right.
One where I teamed back up with Chris Cheney.
Right.
Who at the time was, not at the time, but before that was one of the main reasons why this thing, I didn't want to be there anymore. But as once he stepped away from Infinite, waited a couple of months, and then we reached out to each other and we had a conversation. We had coffee, and we said, I'm like, look, man, I'm not mad at you. It was business. I understand, and you can understand from my perspective. This was more than business to me, so you can understand why I was acting crazy. Well, all of us were acting fucking crazy. So he and I were gonna put in a bid, and then on the other side, Hastro, Envy, and I were putting also in a bid to be the Dallas team. We were gonna be OpTic Dallas.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, we were gonna be OpTic Dallas, and everything was gonna be all honky dory and all that. And ultimately, I continued to weigh my options. No. So at that point, that's when it sold, right? That's when it sold to Immortals. And from there, I thought it was gone forever. You know what I mean? I thought it was gone forever because there was no chance in no other world that I think that a situation like that can happen twice. So I don't know. The stars lined up for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a weird year.
2020 was a weird year to begin with.
That's true. Yeah. Very, very strange year. Man, I didn't even like to put perspective on it. Like looking back, 2020 will always be the year that we were all stuck in our houses and we didn't have OpTic. Like from our perspective, that shit's crazy.
What's crazy to me, and obviously I don't feel this like in thing like I wasn't attached to I still had ownership in OpTic as a whole.
Right.
Or in the whole thing. So I had ownership in, whatever. So I always had ownership in OpTic. I just wasn't OpTic Hecz.
Yeah.
And from the time that I said, from the time when I put up my energy hoodie till the acquisition or the reacquisition of mine, I wasn't OpTic Hecz, and I as happy as I was doing what we were doing, because obviously like the like Andy's super cool. Obviously the Huntsman is like I'm wearing a Huntsman t-shirt today. You know
right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Here it is. Like this, it'll always be a part of me and a part of the Hecz course and all that shit. Like I never really felt as though I was apart from the brand until we got to the first event. When I saw that I was rooting against OpTic, that's when it really fucking hurt me. And I was like, man.
Yeah, I never got to see that. Like that's something I never got to experience.
Oh, you didn't go?
I didn't go to London. No.
Why? No, not London. The home opener in Minnesota, where I had COVID.
No, didn't go to that.
So you didn't get to experience it, but you did see it from home.
Yeah, I watched it from here. I didn't go to the event though. I don't know why. I thought it was just London, but maybe it was Minnesota as well.
How'd you feel about it? Like competing
it's
against?
Weird. It's definitely weird to watch at home. If I would have been there in person, it would have been even weirder. But yeah, I never got to experience that. So I never got that like shock. The weird part is because it was coming back, like because there were so many opportunities that OpTic was going to come back. Like the idea of OpTic Hecz or OpTic Hitch or OpTic anyone ever coming back, it was like kind of like it felt like so foreign. Like even though I knew it was about to happen multiple times, I got like really excited the first time, and then the second time, third time, fourth time, I didn't. I was just like, yeah, man, I hope it does. And you kept like persevering through that, which is, I don't know how you did it, but I mean, here we are. And so I remember like whenever it actually did happen and the announcement did go up on Twitter, I was like, wow, it's real.
Yeah.
And that's when it hit me. Like it hit me hard that day. And whenever I put the tweets out and put the the Instagram out, that's when it hit me. I was like, okay, I am back home. And it felt great, man. It's felt great ever since. I mean, it's been a great week.
Dude, I've had an incredible week.
Yeah.
My vlogs are doing like 200 before. They've never done 200, you know? You know what I mean? It's been good. And for to answer the question, you don't know how I persevere. It's like, dude, I don't do well with mistakes that I make.
Yeah.
And this was too big of a mistake for me. Like, no bullshit. Like I did it for the tattoos. I did it for the merch. I did it for the name. I did it for the people, man. Like I couldn't. Every single time I saw the support from everybody that bought a Huntsman hoodie or that they were following the Huntsman, like every single time I owed them something. I felt like I owed them something. Where before it was like, we're in this together. I entertain you, and that's what I owe you, and that's what I'm committing to.
Right.
In this scenario, I'm like, okay, so I owe you the entertainment, but I also owe you what's missing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was missing within me too.